there is a very interesting book written by two Zionists called Israel Startup Nation, where they talk about how Israel got started as a startup and so on. One thing is interesting is the way that they look at the Middle East, Muslim countries. And they basically describe it, we are the brain, we produced, and you guys are just a shopping center where we sell everything. Even when the Gaza started recently, and Muslims were boycotting, one of these Zionists got up on Twitter and he said, what we should do? We should boycott also everything made by Palestinians, by Arabs, by Muslims, by this and that. And he says, I'll give you the entire list of everything they produce. So he put a blank screen. It's not good, you understand? And he was joking, we don't have even what to boycott because you guys are not making anything. Unfortunately, and that's why I say to the students, economy is what you can do. Always I repeat this, what can you do? That's economy. You as a person are economy, and we as a country are economy. Can you feed yourself? You can't. Forget there's no economy. What economy are you talking about?
I have a question for you here. There are approximately 2 billion Muslims on earth, and we find that our influence within the political sphere, within the economic sphere, within trade relations is minimal, despite the fact that we have some of the most wealthy nations based on resources and based on money. Why don't we just create lobbies like other nations have created lobbies to serve our interests? Why are we not effective in that sense? What could be the issue?
So for understanding this, one has to understand how power really works. I was very fortunate on my travel around the world to meet some incredible people who really opened my mind to the realities on the ground. And one of the greatest minds that I have ever had the opportunity to speak and discuss some of the issues, and from whom I learned a lot, was a man that most of your audience will never heard of. It's a man who lived in Serbia. In Serbia, there is a part called Sanjak where Muslims live. It's a Muslim area. And this was a former mufti. He passed away, may Allah have mercy on his soul, a few years back. I'm talking about Mufti Muamer Zukorlić, one of the greatest minds in last maybe 25, 30 years that I have seen. And what he has done in that part where Muslims live under Serbs in very hostile circumstances, how he rebuilt his, universities, presses, newspapers, public kitchen, returned the Waqf, created institutions, is a case in itself to be studied, masterclass. And so this man, who was positioned as a mufti after he finished his university, as somebody who they thought as a young man they will easily manipulate, turned out to be another Mehmet Fatih. And so one of the things that he was once saying, which always redefined my understanding of power, is he gave example of political power. He says, you know what is the political power, And he said political power is, let's say you're walking somewhere. You have a one politic walking, and then you have another politic walking, And if this politic is walking and this one want to go here, this one stops this one, right? And so what he was trying to say by this is that a real power, if you have a real politics, means that if you want to walk here, nobody can stop you. You can go. Even if somebody's trying to stop you, you can still go. And if you have a politics same, if somebody wants to walk this way, you can stop them. So what that simply means is that you can do something regardless of who is opposing you, or you can stop something whether they like it or not.
That sounds very familiar.
So we have certain countries that make other countries self in opposite of what is their own interest, and plus pay for their own for this favor, right? So that is the real power, and then they don't need to be worried who is criticizing them. So this is the exercising power. So what does that mean today when we come to lobby? Number one, when you think about lobby, a lot of people think about, as we were talking today, it's just about money. You have a money and then you throw money, it's problem gone, right? That's a very lazy mentality of thinking about the problem, very shallow thinking. What's the problem? Oh, whatever it is, let's throw money on it. It doesn't work like that. You see, you can have a lobbyist. He will have access to power. You can open the door, sure. And you can take selfie even with the politicians. But there is a difference between access to power and making somebody do something they don't want to do.
SubhanAllah.
Or what works for you. You understand? And so that's number one. Number two, how do people do that? Well, today's lobbyists, and why we can't follow that some other, they are coercing people. They mainly lobby today is making somebody do what they don't want to do. If you as a Muslim, even you have lobby, you want a righteous, right person who believes in something, strengthen them, not get crook who is manipulate and bought, excel in corruption and get you what they even don't believe in. So this, first of all, idea of lobby is different here. The second thing is why this one work when they seek out corrupt who are influenced by the money, because in the world of these people, they have a saying. They say the world is run by money. I forgot how they say it exactly, but idea is that the world run on money in their world. And so they are offered things that you cannot offer them. So there are people who work hard to create a system, and then they say, I will offer you, when you retire, board seat of this company. Your son will be chairman of this company. Your wife will be the chancellor of university. You will have, this investment available. If the media attack you, we have another media to defend you, to write positive about you. So there is entire, we'll put you here. So there is an entire system that works to secure the wealth and status of these people. So this is very strong part of the lobby. You don't get that just with money. You have a lot of powerful, rich states. They have money, they have no power. And so this takes a lot of work, a lot of coordination. And so for Muslims to have that, they are really at the start of their game. Mostly we are consumers. Mostly we don't have those links. We are not in where these decisions are made, and these decisions where the real power is exercised. If you think about, as one of the Australian politicians gave a good example before, he said, if you think of the puppet, on the strings, where the strings end, these are the beginnings of the power. Okay? And so these are the places. There is another great Bosnian leader who is, we call Muderis, who was a leader of the 7th Muslims Brigade during the war. And recently I was listening to a podcast and he said, Muslims are not present where decisions are being made. SubhanAllah. And we are told by Allah that you are the best of nation. Why? Because you invite for what is right and you deter people from what is wrong. And he said, how can you do that if you don't have authority and power?
And presence even.
And so you will not be placed where those decisions are made. And this took a long time for your pillars of power to be knocked down. So there was an effort to knock down these pillars of strength. And so you are not even there present where these decisions are made. And so today, even Islamic economy is mainly consumer economy. When we say $2 trillion halal meat or food, that just means how much we eat, how much meat we eat. It doesn't talk about how much you produce. In fact, 5 top producers of halal meat are not even one of them in this Muslim country. So from consumer-based measurement, and we are kind of like, I don't want to criticize too much these reports, but they don't put how much of that we produced. As a main stakeholder, you can't be reduced to consumer. You have to think about if the main brands, main companies in the halal are people who don't believe in halal, maybe we have a problem.
Yes.
Same with Islamic finance. It's mainly transactional, how much I bought and sold. not how much I started, produced, and so on. So I think going from that consumer-based, and that's why there is a very interesting book written by two Zionists called Israel Startup Nation, where they talk about how Israel got started as a startup and so on. Half of it fake, and then they're trying to promote it. But nevertheless, there are some interesting things. One thing is interesting is the way that they look at the Middle East, Muslim countries. And they basically describe it, we are the brain, we produced, and you guys are just a shopping center where we sell everything.
Subhanallah.
And so even when the Gaza started recently, and Muslims were boycotting, one of these Zionists got up on Twitter and he said, what we should do? We should boycott also everything made by Palestinians, by Arabs, by Muslims, by this and that. And he says, I'll give you the entire list of everything they produce. So he put a blank screen. It's not good. You understand? And he was joking. We don't have even what to boycott because you guys are not making anything. Unfortunately, even the devil sometimes will say the word of the truth. And so we have to look at it. What happened with the Muslims who once used to travel to Indonesia, and Indonesia in 12th century to 15 became all Muslims because the traders would bring the goods and, they were upper hand and people were impressed. So what happened with the people who were once traders and explorers that our countries, same countries, who used to do that today cannot feed themselves. They don't have electricity sometimes. Their banks don't run properly. The people are storming the banks. And so this is where we are. Many of these countries just surviving on loans. And then they are looking to buy things somebody else is producing. And this is just continuing. And so where is the Islamic economy? Where is the production? Where is the independence, sustainability? It's lost between corrupt, incapable, lack of governance, government policies, strong leadership, difficult decision that you have to make to do that. And so in these days where others are hyper investing in everything, now you have integration of biology, technology, you have AI that is integrating even with how we produce this bioengineering food and medicine. And what we need to catch up with just to be at par with others, there is a huge distance, which is why I think, of course it's easiest to say, well, if only just we do one switch and then we click and then we will have the scientists and technology and the systems, and you understand, it's require hard work. And that's why I say to the students, economy is what you can do. Always I repeat this. What can you do? That's his economy. You as a person are economy, and we as a country are economy. Can you feed yourself? You can't. Forget there's no economy. What economy are you talking about? So what can you do? That's the most simple. Forget all of the other things. Yes, all of these could be bad, could be better, could be this. Next 20, 30, 50 years, what can you do? What can you start developing? And that's why, not to leave it on the depressing note, that's why I think, while not perfect examples, some countries in some area present great case study. Turkey, look at 20 years, how far they went. Not a perfect case study. It's not ideal. A lot of problems, a lot of issues. But look at what they have done in 20 years. This is the path. Policies, building industrial base, building infrastructure, putting the policies that will reverse dollarization, protect themselves financially, protect their industry, energy independence. These are real tangible things that you have to fight for. Many of our countries need to go through the similar process to be able to live. If we learn anything from these last years, is that the globalization as we know it collapsing, the supply chains, where you get the things, it's too far, too long, too dangerous to leave it in production in somebody else's hand and just think, where can I get cheap stuff? You need to produce your stuff.
And that's a very good point to come to a head to. I think you've illustrated perfectly. The real point of focus here is not to have the most money, You know, we shouldn't be boasting that we have some of the wealthiest nations or all this money. That's only part of the equation, because that money is going to go somewhere else eventually. You're going to need to buy something. If you're not producing that something, it's going to go to somebody who produces something. So it's not enough to say, let's get rid of interest alone, let's go for crypto, let's just have more money. It's actually, what are you producing? And Sayyidina Umar, radiallahu anhu, somebody had a lot of insight, would say that don't just leave your money for sadaqah to consume it. Sorry, don't just leave your money because zakah will consume it. Put the money to work, invest in business, invest in enterprise, invest so that that money can multiply. And the tijara is a blessing, because as we know, he would say, again, radiallahu anhu, if I did not die in the path of Allah as a military man, I would wish to die on a business trip. And they asked him why such a dichotomy. He said, because Allah mentions in the Quran, after fighting fi sabilillah, that those who are on the path of Allah, yabtaghuna, they seek in his, through trade and industry. So we should certainly, the connection is there. Power in the real sense, as you said, to have the autonomy, the authority to make a decision irregardless of somebody else's perspective, comes hand in hand with fiscal discipline and fiscal ability to actually say, if you want to boycott me, it's okay, because I have production means in my own country, or my neighboring country can produce what I need, so I don't need to necessarily buy it from you. And that's when we really talk about power and influence in the world. Can you tell the audience more about your program? Where can they begin their journey of learning? I know you have courses. Please share everything you can so that we can benefit from it, inshallah.
After being engaged in a lot of different businesses, running some investment businesses, and working with many Islamic financial organizations and some of the regulators, with people, businesses, investments, and even looking and working with some government, especially in Turkey, with their finance office on a financial literacy program for their people, where we focused on ideas, this kind of high level of thinking, you know. We started a platform to reach out more people who are interested in this sort of way of thinking. Of course, you know, other people might like Andrew Tate message, just have a couple of Bugattis, or as might say, you know, or they might be more drawn to, you know, I don't know, whatever is on the other side, living with nothing, you know. We thought, you know, maybe there is a better way, a righteous way, you know, towards managing these issues, wealth, and thinking about the economy, being productive, and so on, not just get rich quick schemes, you know. So we started this Muslim Money Matters, which is a digital platform where we are putting some courses and having a discussion more like a community, so people can ask questions, we can discuss issue. Last week we discussed a lot about strategy. What's the difference between just strategy and tactics, and how does that on the life today, life being like a chessboard, are we playing, or are we being played? Are we the pawns, or what is it that we are? And then, you know, just understanding the difference between not just strategy and tactics, but the moves and so on. And so we have a lot of students who benefit from these kind of discussions on different levels, trying to get the idea. And we are now recruiting a new team as well, that beside the courses for our members, we are trying to publish more online videos, you know, like specific topics, specific lessons, questions and answers. And so that's what we are now working on these matters. Idea is really to contribute to financial literacy, but also maybe to stimulate some discussions. And I guess my personal goal is not so much to tell people, oh, this is right, or this is black and white, and this is how you should be all, but like, this is how I think about it. I'll tell you why I think about it. This is why I'll tell you the details, and should be transparent, so that you understand where I'm coming from. Maybe you correct me, maybe I'm missing something, but I stay away from yes, no, because critical thinking in today's day of AI, where everything is automated, where there is no transparency how the mechanics of the thinking works, people who have a critical ability to think and analyze, scrutinize, they have an instinct for what is, they will be a step ahead. And unfortunately, people who don't develop that instinct, just by looking, by feeling, that doesn't feel right, I think instinct is something that is more powerful than AI. It's that instinct born from experience and knowledge, and that that doesn't sit well, and then you start thinking, why is that, So I think developing this kind of intuition and way of thinking, born out of, again, discussion, strategizing, looking at different scenarios, where you start recognizing pattern. This is it's going to be very much more superior than this algorithms, because at the end of the day, people get so obsessed with these things. Oh, AI, but it's just pattern. It's not even AI is not very creative. It is reading your books and just trying to replicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, what's coming next, 5. It's not going to be very creative. So who is going to dominate these creative people who know how to use it, who have that instinct and leadership? And so I hope we can inspire that little bit, self, that critical and confident thought, and use our Islam to craft, to connect it to the issues and think about way forward. How do we solve, and what is your role? What is your role? Forget the passive income. I'm not going to teach you about passive income, because I don't believe passive is in the grave. Then you are passive. Now you are active. Don't think about passive. Don't think about not working. Don't think about retiring. If that's the thing, then there is a different courses for that. Active, contributing, because the Prophet said, the best of you are those who benefit others the most. So,
yes.
Benefiting, building, this is what it is about.
It's a really positive, empowering message, and I believe more of us need to hear this, honestly. To not be passive and even sometimes almost apathetic to the situation, and just to hope for a change. No, you need to be productive. The most beloved to Allah, أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس, are those who are the most beneficial to human beings. So really an amazing message. I think it's been a very, very thought-inspiring conversation. Is there a website, a YouTube channel, a group that we can direct people to?
If people go to my website, ALMIRCOLAN, just my name, it should pop up website. There is usually links to Muslim Money Matters, to my YouTube channel, where we put these kind of things and discussions as well. And then we will, maybe if they join my email list, I'm trying to email the updates, from time to time.
Barakallahu feekum. It's been a pleasure and really an honest conversation. Jazakallah khair for coming and attending.